network where advice meets action, with programs to spark your growth, lift your spirits, and help you rise into your potential. Rise awakening, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken and climb. Rise awakening, now is the time. Rise Awakenings, let's rise together.
Start with the quiet parts, the things you hide behind your laugh. Sit with the ache a while. Let every question breathe and ask, who was I trying to be? Who am I when I just stay? Name every tender scar and let them have their say. Till your heart carries you. This is the blue.
Pages of old beliefs, stories that kept you playing small. Lay them out on the floor, see which ones never fit at all. Offer your younger self a kindness you never knew. From the soil of your soul.
Hello and happy Monday, everyone. And I cannot see the comments, so I am so sorry, Micah, man behind the curtain. I'm going to thank you now in advance. I don't see the comments today, so I'm going to apologize in advance for that. I will do my best. And welcome. If you're new here, the wisdom that I share in this podcast is based on my personal experience and the knowledge that I have gained from my educational and healing journeys. And I share in the greatest degree of love. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And if you want to dive deeper a little bit into your own personal growth and evolution, go ahead on healingrose.org and book a free discovery call. And today, we are going to talk about intentionality. So I chose this topic because of the last few weeks and what we've been talking about for the last few weeks. And today there's you can Google it, there's some planetary stuff going on. June 8th seems to have some kind of like impact and shift on our presence energetically. And timeline wise. So I wanted to dive into the transformative concept of being intentional, living intentional. Intentionality is the practice of living on purpose rather than by default, right? So many of us move through life on autopilot. We wake up, repeat familiar habits, react to circumstances, and wonder why we feel disconnected, overwhelmed, exhausted, or unfulfilled, or all of the above. Often it arises because we stopped consciously choosing how we want to show up for our lives, in our lives, for ourselves. So for me, intentionality is awareness with gusto. It's the choice inside of that sacred pause between stimulus and response. It is the moment we can ask ourselves, is this choice aligned with who I truly am and want to be? So every choice we make is planting a seed. Every choice we make is planting a seed. The question is whether we are planting consciously or unconsciously. So let's start in our environments, our physical environments, right? We've talked about this in some of the topics on the core Phoenix Talks, the Bloom in the last few weeks. So when you look around in your home, does your environment support your well-being or does it drain your energy? Many people unconsciously sabotage themselves by tolerating clutter, disorganization, unfinished projects, or spaces that create stress. And they themselves, they tell themselves that they will address it later, and yet every day their surroundings are quietly communicating a message of overwhelm and incompletion. This is intensified and exacerbated when you don't have the capacity to maintain your space. So there's mindset shifts now that also need to occur, and we'll talk about the mind later. But for now, the awareness must be that your space is affecting you. So I would ask that you ask for help and not feel that shame that hurts you. So that's a way that we can be intentional. The intentional piece for your environment involves receiving support where needed. I've had to ask for help cleaning my space because of my physical issues. And I'm not afraid to ask because the reality of my situation is what it is. So just want you to have the awareness that it is affecting you and draining you. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. Okay. It's not to shame, but we all got to ask for help. Because when we do become intentional about our physical environment, we begin creating spaces that have support for ourselves with peace, clarity, and focus, because you're throwing yourself off otherwise, right? So I want to encourage you to try to get help because, you know, I struggle sometimes with my dishes. They pile up. That's an issue for me. And then I eat junk. I eat like crap because, you know, it's less work. So now I'm eating unhealthy. So when I catch myself, I'm like, nope, we're not doing this. Let's start with a couple of dishes and stop there. I tell myself that with the full intention of only doing 2 dishes or 3 dishes. What ends up actually happening is like, well, now I'm in it and I kind of don't want to stop because now I'm in a flow and I just keep going. That's kind of what happens. But when I have moments of deep issues, I stop at a couple and then maybe go back later on and do, okay, let me do 2 more. It helps me get them out of the way without overwhelming myself. There's, I'm going to do something different for the bloom today because this is where I bring up, yesterday at Sunday Circle, I brought up this deck of cards that we love on the core because it's a call to action card. And I did not have the card out because I wasn't using the deck, but I referred to the card, and you've all seen it if you've seen the core. And it's a card about comfort. But because I was fucking around this morning. Yes, I know I owe money to the radio station for that one with the cards. And I'm like, let me see if it just pops out for the bloom, because I do want to bring up that card because we can make subtle differences for our comfort in our lives with tangible and intangible things. And so one of them happens to be creating a comfortable environment for ourselves. So that's why I'm bringing this up, because it is one of the important ways that we can help ourselves create clarity and peace in our world. And anyway, in the shuffling before the show, 4 cards come out. And Bubble Kittens, I can't see if you're here, but if you're here, the first card that came out was pivot. The second card that came out was comfort, the one that I was looking for. The third card came out was let it go. And the fourth card that came out was healing. So I'm like, we getting a reading for the bloom today. Because that really needs to be the focus. We need to pivot, create comfort in our lives, let shit go, and heal more deeply. Okay? You can't make this shit up on any of these shows. So we have the awareness and the understanding that the environment around us is constantly influencing our behavior, whether we're aware of it or not. So when we intentionally create supportive environments, we make it easier for our highest selves to emerge. So now that also translates into our physical body. I personally have been intentionally working on doing what I'm supposed to be doing exercising wise, and they're not big movements. I'm exercising like someone in a rehab facility who just came out of surgery. This isn't like, I didn't have surgery. I'm just saying I'm liking it too. So I've been intentionally doing physical therapy on myself, and I'm feeling better and better. So like the intentionality that I'm putting into myself, I'm actually seeing results now, and I'm feeling so much better. I'm still in pain. It's still not okay, but I'm not excruciating. I'm not going to cancel a show because I can't take the pain. You know what I mean? Like I'm moving forward, and our bodies are constantly speaking to us. And many of us ignore these signals, right? We stay up too late, even though we know it's unhealthy. And day or night, depending on what work shift you have. We consume foods that leave us depleted, right? Because they're easy foods and they're quick and no mess kind of foods. We sit for hours without moving. And that happens a lot when we get into burnout mode sometimes, or when we're having the physical issues that we're having. But I started this intentionality with movements whilst I was sitting or laying. So I started in that position with gentle movement, and then I was able to move on. So there's still the intention of helping yourself in any small way. Sometimes we postpone rest until exhaustion forces us to stop. So there's the opposite end of the spectrum too. We get forced to rest when it's too much. Are we aware of why our energy is low? And I think that when we evaluate how our body is responding to what we're giving it and how we're treating it, and we're just in our bodies and translating what our body is trying to tell us. No judgment, no shame. We're not here to make ourselves feel bad about ourselves. We're because that's just society bullshit. That's just programming and conditioning. That's not from a heart-centered space. That's from a let me tell you how bad you are so you can buy my product space. We don't play that. We're unconditionally loving ourselves. So we're not judging our awareness. We're simply learning how to translate what our body is telling us with our intentional awareness, because the body is not a machine to be pushed beyond its limits. That's how we are trained to treat it. It is a sacred vessel, however, carrying us, our spirit, through this human experience. So our body intentionality is going to ask, what does my body need today? Perhaps it needs nourishment. Perhaps it needs a little bit of movement. Perhaps it needs hydration. I mean, I'm neurospicy. I forget to drink. And there's like 10 open water bottles everywhere throughout the house. Anyone else? Who else does that? So sometimes we just need hydration, right? We need more sleep, especially if we have body issues that keep us up at night and other issues. And perhaps we need to be gentle with our bodies. Are we pushing ourselves too hard? So when we intentionally care for our bodies, we are expressing that self-love in action, which brings me to our intentionality with our mental wellness, because you've heard that phrase, my mind is a garden. Well, the mind is a garden. Whatever we constantly plant and water is going to grow. So if you're constantly intending to focus on stuff that isn't productive, healthy, or just good for you overall, guess what's going to happen? That's going to grow. So intentionally, we need to not unconsciously self-sabotage us. We have to retrain our mind, right? Because we don't want to replay old stories. We don't want to focus exclusively on what's wrong. We, without realizing it, end up training our minds to search for evidence that life is difficult and unfair and hopeless accidentally, right? So eventually we're training our minds to become skilled at finding exactly what it's been trained to seek. So retraining the brain requires that intentional, conscious decision. What am I feeding my mind? What conversations am I engaging in? What media am I consuming? And what beliefs am I reinforcing? So what are we feeding our minds? What kind of conversations are we having? Are they intellectually stimulating? Are you feeding yourself education, or are you feeding yourself trauma and drama and BS? Are you feeding yourself, videos of people getting hurt and all kinds of BS you shouldn't, like nothing but politics? Like, what are you feeding your brain? What beliefs are you hanging on to that are not healthy for you and don't make sense anymore because you're growing and you're evolving? What beliefs are holding you back from moving forward? So the mind intentionally cultivated through gratitude, curiosity, learning, and mindfulness becomes a powerful ally rather than that relentless critic. So let's focus instead on gratitude, curiosity, learning, mindfulness, and give ourselves the opportunity to help ourselves move forward, which brings me to our emotional health. Are we being intentional about our emotional health? Many of us were never taught how to intentionally work with our emotions. Thankfully, you have Rise Radio, Awakenings Radio, and you have shows like The Core, Phoenix Talks, The Bloom, and whatever else is going to come in the future that is teaching you how to work with your emotions. Because we were taught to suppress them, avoid them, distract ourselves from them, escape from them, and judge ourselves for having them. That's really what we're taught. But we talk on the shows a lot that emotions are messengers, and the information that they carry is to help us understand ourselves. So when we ignore them, we often, it grows louder. We can't ignore it because it grows louder. When we shame our emotions, they become stuck and we become stuck. So when we intentionally listen to our emotions and really listen to the hurt that's in the pain that's underneath our emotions, they become our guide. Okay? They become our guide. Your intuition is directly tied to your emotions. I want you to remember that. Healthy emotional intentionality means recognizing the feelings without becoming consumed by them. Micah, put that on the screen if you could. Healthy emotional intentionality means recognizing our feelings without becoming consumed by them. We're teaching you on all of the shows how to move through your emotions and work with them and help you understand yourself instead of staying stuck in that. So remember, no shame, no judgment, just allowing. It means allowing the anger to reveal the boundary that needs attention. It means allowing sadness to reveal the wound, seeking compassion from you. And it means allowing the fear to reveal the need that you have for support and preparation. Okay, I struggled over the summer with fear of not being mobile anymore and struggling with my home and, all those fears. And I said, nope. What is this? What is at the root of it? At the root of it is I'm supposed to ask for help at this point in my life. Woo, that's a tough one for a lot of us people pleaser, calling you out. Intentionality transforms emotional reflection into emotional wisdom. Okay, so rather than asking, how do I get rid of this feeling? We're going to begin to ask, what is this feeling trying to teach me? Which you've heard on all the shows. So being intentional in relationships. Let's talk about this, because now that we've gotten all of our own stuff out of the way, let's dive into the relationship aspect of this. Because relationships do not thrive by accident. They flourish through consistent attention. That requires a lot of intention. Many relationships slow down and weaken not because of major conflicts, but because of accumulated neglect. You stop listening deeply, you stop expressing appreciation, you stop making time for connection. You assume others know that everything's fine. Intentionality reminds us that love is not only a feeling, love is also a practice and a state of being. Okay? So the intentionality needs to go into a text message, a thoughtful question, a sincere apology, a moment of undivided attention, a simple expression of gratitude. A small intentional act creates such strong relationships. Okay? Which brings me to, and brings us to, being intentional in our own authentic alignment. Because the most important area of intentionality is our relationship with ourselves. Okay? No more unconsciously sabotaging our own happiness by living according to the expectations of others that do not belong to us, right? Us. Words. So let's ask ourselves, do we pursue goals that we don't truly desire? Do we say yes when our soul is screaming no? Do we shrink ourselves to gain approval or acceptance or to comfort others? Do we silence our truth to avoid that discomfort? Over time, we'll become so disconnected from who we really are. So intentionality asks us to enrich that relationship with ourselves and return home to ourselves. I say a lot like I'm getting back to my old self again. And I'm not trying to become an old version of me. What I mean by that is I am intentionally living aligned so that I can restore myself to my original essence and vibration. Okay? Because the programming and the conditioning from birth to where you are today is at the root of everything you believe. So we have to ask ourselves, what feels true to us? What feels aligned for us? What reflects our deepest value? And what allows us to embody the greatest degree of love, which means putting ourselves in that unconditional love and compassion, and then having that extend outward. It's whatever day this is. There's a lawn mowing going on, so I don't know if you can hear that, but that's what that is. It's lawn mowing. So authentic alignment is not about becoming someone new or becoming the old version of you. What it is about remembering who we have always been beneath the conditioning, the fear, and the expectations. We remember when we intentionally align and build on that relationship. All of this, all of the above requires consistency. And that consistency also needs to be intentional. So one of the greatest misconceptions about transformation is that it requires dramatic action, right? There has to be some big movie. You have to have a dark night of the soul or something big. That's not where it's at. That's not sustainable and maintainable. What we teach on all of these shows is how to do this so that you can help yourself moving forward sustainably, maintainably, and consistently. In reality, meaningful change often emerges through small, intentional choices repeated consistently. Like the first thing you drink, a glass of water every morning, 5 minutes of meditation, maybe a daily gratitude practice, a short walk every day, even if it's to the living room and to the dining room, living room to the dining room. It doesn't matter at any stage, at your personal journey stage. A healthy boundary, right? A compassionate thought, a moment of presence with yourself. Every small action performed consistently becomes a powerful force for transformation. Intentionality isn't about perfection or anything like that, because we all know that doesn't exist. And it doesn't have to be every day you're on it kind of thing, because we have to build the momentum to make things a habit. It's about returning to our intentions for ourselves again and again and again, and creating new habits, because that's what healing is about. Okay? So let's do this with mindfulness, with compassion, with patience, and with love, because every moment offers a new opportunity to choose. Every single moment, including right now. And every choice is helping create the life that we are living. There's science to back that up now. Yay. May we remember that our lives are not shaped solely by what happens to us or what we've learned. It's shaped by how we intentionally respond and choose to live. So may every response and choice be guided by the greatest degree of love for all of us. Whew. I am sorry I cannot see the comments. Micah, I am so sorry. The next card on the top of the deck, thank you for asking me that. Allow. Oh my God, we can't make this shit up. Oh, I'm going to read these. Can I read them in order? Because I feel like we need to tell this story in order. Okay, I'm going to do it while we're waiting for that. So before I read the allow, we're going to start with the pivot. Sometimes when things aren't falling into place after trying and trying, it's time to ask yourself if pivoting in some way, intentionally, would be a good idea so that your life can flow more easily and effortlessly. How could you pivot even just a little bit? Comfort. How can you bring more comfort into your life intentionally? You can increase your comfort through tangible things such as soft clothes or food or a clean space, and intangible things such as thinking loving thoughts and being kind to yourself and inviting peace into your heart, right? Let it go. You're being asked to let go of whatever pain and resentment you've been holding on to intentionally. It's hurting you, and you can't fully be present in your life if you're holding on to negativity. So release it and be free. Healing. Your body, mind, and soul are in a period of deep healing right now. You're going through many transformations at once, and you are being asked to allow yourself to receive healing, the healing that you need, with open arms and an open heart. Allow. Can't make this shit up. You're being asked to open your energy field and take down the walls of protection in order to allow goodness into your life. Sometimes, without even realizing it, we block ourselves from life's flow. Just allow yourself to know that you're safe to open yourself back up intentionally. This is fab. I got to find all the cards now. They went flying. So I want to back up a bit. Here we go. Michael says, I feel like I get there and then something happens, small or large, that makes the work start all over again. That's the whole point. We just got to keep doing it because we shift in the moment. So for me, I'm going to just talk to the tarot for a second to bring a point in that Michael brought up, which we talked about earlier. When I read the cards, I always remind individuals of the cycles that we have to experience, and that the energy that the cards are showing are based on the energy of right now, which is based on our choices, our beliefs, our feelings that we emit. Okay? That's the radar. That's the signal. That's going out there. When we send that collective signal out, that's the energy. So if we're collectively allowing ourselves to move through no shame, no guilt, no judgment, no expectations, just love and compassion, when we allow ourselves to move through the emotions with love and compassion, we bring ourselves collectively into a different energy and life changes. We allow space for goodness collectively together. So yeah, it happens again and again because again and again, we get to choose. It's intentional. I'm choosing not to follow the programming and the conditioning, that deep programming, those little viruses that they've planted in our brains, in the software. We're antivirus software. So whatever new ones pop up, click, gone. With intentionally recognizing what we need to evaluate that's coming up for us, right? What we need to feel our way through and how we need to show up, not just for ourselves, but for others around us. So that all is an intentional choice, and that is living a consciously aware life. So I want you to get really in touch with yourselves in this now with this planetary stuff. And I don't have the Googles to look it up. I get tired of starting over again. But we see maybe that's the shift right there, the I get tired part. And we shift that instead. And Micah says learning to move through with intentions does make the shifts through easier over time. So the intention is to not judge and shame and have the weight that's being carried on it to do again. It's not a failure. There's no failure involved. It's simply, oh, here it is again. Hi, I see you. I see you. You're okay there. I don't need you here. And that feeling love for yourself, reminding yourself you're loved and focusing on and giving yourself that space to grow and bloom and say, hey, I know you exist. Two things are possible at the same time. I see you, and I'm sending you love and compassion. I'm sending love and compassion to the part of me that was holding that. And thank you, part of me that was holding that, to bring it to the surface so we can send it bye-bye lovingly until the next one reveals itself for us, shines down with a spotlight that says, look over here. That's really just meant for our awareness. So instead of seeing it as a repeat cycle that gets monotonous, instead intentionally choose to shift in that conscious awareness of love and say, ooh, what part of me can I give some compassion to that surfaced for me right now? Eventually it dissipates. That's why it makes it easier every time it comes up, because we're intentionally choosing to shift the focus to compassion. Michelle says, exactly. I had to learn not to let the negative to get to me. Yes, as badly, just now you have more worth than they deserve. That's right. Absolutely, because other people's limitations are not yours. Your worth and value has nothing to do with someone else's limited perspective and someone else's self value and self worth, because people reflect at you what they believe about themselves, and they project at you what they've been taught to believe and feel about themselves. Okay? So knowing that, that's amazing. Thank you for recognizing that. Intentionally recognizing your own worth. That's huge. That's part of this healing process. If we don't intentionally recognize our own worth and allow ourselves to say, hey, you know what? That might be true in your world, but that's why we're not friends and that's why we ain't tight. It's not a requirement to meet people at their vibration. It's not. You are not to drop yourself to their vibration. You're to witness their vibration and decide, oh, I see where they're at and I see why we don't align. Okay? That's the effort. That's the intentionality of the focus. I see that we're not aligned. I see where you're at. I wish you love and peace and compassion, but I know we're not aligned. You could always share your perspective if it's somebody that you feel has enough value and is just misguided, because most of us have been misguided, right? We all got bad intel and virus software installed, from the get-go when we were born. So we do give ourselves permission to shift that entirely. And that's part of this. I'm so grateful there's science behind it. And I know we've mentioned Joe Dispenza's research before, but he has the science behind how we rewire our brains with focusing on the energy and emotions that are at a higher vibration. And I'm going to remind everyone of that. I forgot what institute it is. I think in Germany, the Spain scale, the scale of positive and negative emotions, the study that they did to show what frequency, because we have the tools now scientifically to measure our electromagnetic frequency, that showed lower vibrational energy and emotions, and that what they call negativity, which technically isn't it, but that's okay. That's my autistic brain popping out, sneaking out. We need to focus instead on the frequencies that are more in alignment with truth. Truth is the number one, the highest vibration is truth. Authenticity and truth are right here. Love and compassion are underneath them. Gratitude is in there. Those are all the highest ones. Okay. So shifting ourselves intentionally into that and deciding to shift our perspective and shift our focus is what is important. So today, your homework is to question all of your thoughts and notice and pay attention to all of your choices. Paying attention to your choices. So pausing yourself in every moment and asking yourself, is this a choice that is aligned with my highest good, and that will help me in the ways that I need help. And that's what actually makes me get out of neurospicy paralysis, because sometimes we get stuck and it's like buffering mode, that circle that you see on the computer that won't stop because something's off. That's what happens in our brains, literally. So the way I consciously and intentionally help myself out of it is to ask myself, is this a good choice? What choice can I be making? And how can I help myself get out of this? And so that's where I make the intentional choice to tell myself to move. And I choose a body part specifically because I need to focus on something intentionally in order to make it go, in order to stop the buffering. You know what I mean? Like, follow me for more tips. I don't know where I'm going. That's not my phrase. Someone else says that on another show, and it's funny. So just know that the intentionality is what is going to help you move forward. Okay. Michael says, to Michelle, I've gotten better about it. There are times, though, it just knocks the wind out of you, especially when it comes at you at a place where you were already super self-conscious of yourself. And then it's like it validates that the instability. Yeah, I see it, but that's what needs the love. That was already there, so you can see the domino effect. Exactly. So that's where, when we recognize that thought pattern coming up, we shift our focus to, no, we're not focusing on the projected and programmed and conditioned shame. Okay. That's the programming that we can just throw that shit in the dumpster and get your flamethrower out and set that shit on fire. Oh God, I'm going to owe a lot of money to the station. That's a lot of curse words. It just comes out because I'm not intentionally not cursing. Anyway, when we shift the energy toward me showing up for myself and showing up for others and being seen in ways that I need to be seen in order to make an inspired impact on others intentionally, I need to be seen in my fullest. And that's okay, because I accept myself in my fullest, and I disagree wholeheartedly with every fiber of my being with the shame-based, judgment-based, zero compassion for humanity system that we live in. I do not subscribe to a system that strips us of our humanity. Ugh, that's so heavy. Of course it's draining. Of course it feels like crap. Fuck that shit. Throw it in the dumpster and shift the focus to, I am leading by example and showing others it is safe to show up as you are, because you have value inherently. Your message has value inherently. You do not need others' approval, because you are a beacon of light for those that are meant to see you. That's the energy shift, right? In that, the energy shift is focusing on how proud you are of yourself for where you're at, and how important you are, even though we're tiny piece of sand, a drop in the entire ocean, on all the oceans of the planet. You know, we're a star in the multiverse. We're both tiny, but our emotional energy, remember, sends out the signal, how we feel about ourselves. And we've talked about how we affect others, because our electromagnetic fields affect each other. Micah says, if you intentionally stuck in the negative, then that's what you will seek out, even trying. Right, exactly. So we're shifting our intentionality, because remember, when we are a beacon of light, we bring others to a higher state of being, okay, by example. And that sets that ripple effect. We all help each other grow. And that's why it's so important that we intentionally reject a system that shames you for your humanity, whilst and it's so, I'm looking for the word, It's not coming to me, but it'll come. Hypocritical. Thank you. Thank you. It's so hypocritical because they themselves are humans and their bodies are going to do what their bodies do. Their brains are going to function the way their brains are going to function. Things are going to happen to them too. And the attitudes of judgment from the individuals deeply ingrained in that programming is so self-loathing. We don't subscribe to self-loathing. We are divine beings in this beautiful human vessel that actually is still keeping us alive. We've all survived a lot. A lot of us sit here and be like, I don't know how I lived through. I mean, I've been through some shit. You know what I mean? Right? Yep, I see everything you're saying. I know how it should be. I just can't seem to reach it at the moment. At the moment, if you need to sit in the feels, sit in the feels and know that you are held, loved, and supported, and there is space for that. Because in order for us to move through these emotions, I'm gonna remind y'all, in order for us to move through these emotions that are genuine and legit, they need to move into that I'm pissed off at the system that made me feel like shit about and hate myself. Fuck that system that made me hate myself. Hell no, I'm intentionally refusing that. That takes a while, but it does take you allowing yourself to feel that righteousness towards yourself and that championship towards yourself and that advocacy towards yourself, because hot damn, you did not deserve to experience, and I'm saying you to all of you did not deserve to experience all that you experienced. That's not love. That's not a loving existence. That's not our natural state of being. That's a system created to keep us controlled in fear and feeling like crap. Okay? Since we don't subscribe to that, we have to grieve. We have to get mad about it. We have to let ourselves feel it. And we have to have that radical acceptance. But that's going to be a process. And sometimes that process might take a couple of months, a year, a week, couple days. I don't know. Depends on where you're at and what is going to continue to surface for you to love more deeply. And then tap into the formless intention of the spirit to keep going. Yes. Yes. Our intention is self-love. Our intention is self-awareness. Our intention is to be conscious and intentional with our awareness and love. Okay? That means rejecting the system of bullshit and having compassion for yourself, not judgment, not shame, not guilt, not expectations, not demands, but compassion, true, divine, unconditional love, compassion for yourself, and say, hey, you know what? God, thank you, body, for what you do. Thank you. I'm still alive. Fuck. Holy shit. I'm still alive. And I'm not like, I'm healing. I'm actually healing. I never thought this was possible in those moments where it was hopeless. But I got myself here. That's amazing. That's where the love and affection for yourself comes, the compassion and the righteousness and the support. And asking for help. This needs a witness. Processing needs a witness. And that's true for everybody. Grief, anger, it needs a witness. It needs an outlet. Creatively, energetically, physically. There's tons of techniques that we can utilize for ourselves. There's vagus nerve stimulation. There's nervous system techniques, reset techniques for the body. There's movements and pressure points and all this kind of amazing stuff we can do with our bodies to help us. The conscious intentional of healing is how we help ourselves emotionally, and we rewire our brains in doing so. So the two of them have to be married together at some point with all that connectedness that you're doing. Because it happens naturally that way. That's what ends up happening. You end up creating this mind and heart coherence, which in turn affects your physical body and your physical experience, because now you're living intentionally to love yourself to the best of your capability and capacity in every moment. To the best of your capability and capacity in every moment. That eliminates the pressure, the shame, and all of that crap, because you're not coming in at yourself with judgment. You're just holding space for yourself. You're reaching out to friends. You're venting where you need to, not living in it, but verbally processing it. There's a difference between giving it breath and verbally processing it, and venting and gossiping and victimhood. So acknowledging your pain and validating yourself is necessary. It is absolutely necessary to validate your experience and give yourself the compassion that you deserve. It is absolutely necessary to have support around you that validates your experience with you and feels the anger with you and says, yeah, that was fucked up, man. Shit, you didn't deserve that. We need this. That is how we're made. We're made to be a collective community. And we support each other in our own growth and evolution with love, okay? So that's the whole mindset and energy shift. And I think I'm going to leave it there for you guys, because it is 11:51. And check out the new Brindle's Vision tonight at 6 p.m. And then we have, I don't remember the lineup. Go to Embers of Light. I can't remember the whole rundown. I know I'll see you on Phoenix Talks on Wednesday night and the Core on Thursday morning. And on any of these shows, we can't make any of this shit up. And we're going to dive even more deeply into this topic on Wednesday night, because this is the time. Go Google whatever the planets are doing, and whatever that means for you, just go Google it. So that you can pep talk yourself and be like, okay, because it's not what you're doing. It's not how you're doing it. It's in your heart, how you feel about yourself in what you're choosing. Intentionally aligning yourself no matter what the step looks like. That's what it's about, with love, compassion, and advocacy. Okay? Even if that means moving through the emotions, because that's exactly the intention and the power of that healing energy that you're bringing through. So the focus is healing. Yes, we are healing. Heck yeah. Team, let's go. We got this. I love you. Go love yourselves and do your homework.
From the soil of your sorrow, petals from pain, new color in tomorrow. You walk through the dark with a soft, steady truth, holding your heart till your heart carries you. This is the blue.
Hey, this is Brindle Wolf. You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action, with programs to spark your growth, lift your spirits, and help you rise into your potential. Rise Awakenings, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken and climb. Rise Awakening, now is the time. Rise Awakenings, let's rise together.